Welcome everyone. If you've seen the intro video I uploaded the other day, then you very well might have an idea for what this video is about. If not, then I'll explain. For the next 3 weeks, including this week, I'm going to be uploading a series of videos detailing how to learn to drift in Gran Turismo 6. This is a series that I've wanted to do for a long time. I'll be uploading 2 videos a week, Wednesday and Friday, for a total of 5 parts. 6 including the intro. This series will attempt to be an easy-to-understand guide, teaching you everything you need to know to teach yourself how to drift. That's important to make clear because nobody else can teach you how to drift. You have to teach yourself the ebb and flow it requires. But I can try and set you on the correct path. Best of all, much of this should be able to apply to a multitude of other games too. I'm simply using Gran Turismo because it's the one I'm most adept at, and that has my preferred courses for drifting. Each part will detail very specific aspects to drifting, as well as give you some homework to practice before you watch the subsequent video. So let's get to it then. First things first, you do not need a racing wheel to drift. Depending on how you like to play, it might not even be preferred. Both normal controllers and wheels have upsides and downsides. Normal controllers are simple, easy to use, and don't cost anything extra. They also have a much easier time making large movements and motions. You can steer from full lock in either direction to full lock in the opposite direction in just a split second. The downside to this is that you lose a ton of precision. You have to focus on being delicate with your motions, while also being really decisive. You'll need to make less motions because they'll almost always be bigger than the motions you can make on a wheel. Speaking of wheels, they're the exact opposite. With a wheel, it's a lot more difficult to make huge movements. You're not slamming an analog stick half an inch to the left or right. You're turning a giant steering wheel to a huge degree, all while it's fighting against you. The same differences apply to the throttle and brakes as well. Now, if you want to use a normal DualShock 3 controller, here's the way I feel is best to set it up. Make X your emergency brake, with square being downshift and circle being upshift. Gas will be R2 and brakes L2. It's going to be best if you know how to use the manual transmission option, and this series is going to assume that you are. I would advise using the view behind the vehicle as well. You see, there are 2 very clear downsides to digital drifting that you need to make up for. The first is the fact that you can't actually feel much of what the car's doing without an astronomically expensive racing rig and a game that interfaces with it. Where/when weight transfers, your current front and rear grip levels, things like this are extremely important, and the rumble in your controller doesn't quite give you enough information. Being in the third-person view makes it clear exactly what the car is doing at any given time. You may not be able to read it well at first, but you'll want to learn how to over time. The other issue with different viewpoints is the lack of ability to look around you while drifting. Sure, you can technically pan the camera while you're in the cockpit view, but it's really difficult to do while sliding at a 45-degree angle around a downhill, banked turn at 80 miles an hour. Plus, the camera snaps back really hard when you let go. When you're drifting, you're going sideways, so you want to be able to see where you're going. In real life, you'd look out of the side window, or through the opposite end of the windshield, depending on which way you're drifting. Until VR is fully integrated, your options are limited. Some games do have an automatic viewpoint changer where the camera pans depending on where you're turning, but you can't always rely on it to be effective, and besides, Gran Turismo doesn't have that sort of feature as of now. With all of that out of the way, let's go pick a car. For the sake of consistency, let's all choose the same vehicle. I tested many cars to find one that was balanced, powerful but not overpowered, upgrades well, was cheap, and was fun to use. I ended up settling on the Nissan 350Z, or to be specific, the premium 07 Fairlady Z Z33. Now that we've got our car, there are only 2 upgrades that we want at first. That's right, for now we're going to keep it simple and stay basically stock, so just change the oil and then buy comfort hard tires. Take your new car and head to Suzuka East in either Arcade Time Trial or in the garage's test drive section. Once it finishes loading, go into the driving options, turn every assist off outside of ABS. I personally set ABS to 1, but you can set it to whatever you want. In particular though, you want stability control, skid recovery force, and traction control to all be completely deactivated. Finally, it's time to start practicing. When you begin, head up to the top of the hill leading toward the straight, and then turn around. What we're going to be doing here is getting a feel for how the car loses grip and slips into a slide. We don't care about speed, about the line we're taking, about the angle. All we care about right now is sliding the car without flying off the track. So start accelerating slowly forward until you're about halfway through 3rd gear. You should have this done before the first turn comes up. Once it does, do nothing other than turn your car into the corner. You should feel and see the back end of the car stepping out as it loses grip. If you don't, turn harder. It might also help to pump the gas just a bit to excite the car. If the car turns too much and spins out, it's okay. Go back and don't turn quite so hard next time. You're looking to find that balance where the car feels stable in its instability. There's a sweet spot where the angle and speed carries you through the turn with minimal inputs on your part. Speaking of speed, make sure to manage it through the corner. Go too fast, and your angle won't be able to make up for it and carry you through the turn. Too slow, and the car will automatically start to correct itself because it can't maintain the slide. Don't worry about comboing each of the turns here. Focus solely on sliding through each one without going off track or spinning out. Once you reach the end of the S-turns, slow down, turn around, and do it again the other way. You'll want to do this until you can consistently slide through the turns without major mistakes. Again, don't worry about getting a precise, deep angle. Don't worry about going as fast as possible. And don't worry about taking the correct line. All that matters is that you keep the car sliding. And honestly, that's it for this video. Things will get more complex, and I'll deliver denser packets of information as the videos go on. But for now, I just want to make sure that you understand what the car is doing when you're trying to drift, and how it feels to attempt to attain control over it. We're not fighting the car here, we're working together with it to create harmony and balance. You can't really get better at drifting without understanding this most fundamental idea, and we don't want to develop tons of bad habits along the way either. So each video, I'll quote-unquote assign you some homework to practice between now and the next video. The homework this time is really simple. All you have to do is what you've been doing. Get used to slides on this track. Keep it loose and malleable, rather than trying to settle into any specific techniques. All you care about is feeling the car out. If you want, you can try it with other cars to see how they fare, but your primary concern is the Fairlady Z. Anyway, leave a like if you enjoyed this, ask any questions you may have in the comments below, and I'll see you next Wednesday with more.